Hello, listeners. My name is Raj Singhal, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Investment Stereotypes. Here we deconstruct world class investors or wealth managers and deep dive into their investing journey professionally, personally, or both. This episode is brought to you by Multipie.co, where we believe that investing is an ignored life skill. Our mission is to create a platform where people can come learn, share, and collaborate through the right tools. We have now gone live, and thousands of users are already part of a very vibrant community. So do check out our app, which is there on both Apple Store and Play Store, or simply just sign up on web. I want to give little guidance on how to use the shows. None of the following should be taken as an investment advice. Please see multipie.co/disclosures for more information. My guest for today is Aditi Kothari. Aditi Kothari Desai is the Vice Chairperson of DSP Investment Managers Private Limited. She also heads sales, marketing, and e-business and serves as a member of the executive committee. Aditi is passionate about the digitization of the financial sector and was instrumental in the launch of all DSP's digital platforms. Aditi joined Merrill Lynch Investment Banking Group in New York in 1998, primarily working on M&A activities in the financial institution group. Subsequently, she worked in DSP Merrill Lynch as part of the fixed income team, where she and I worked together as well. Later on, she joined DSP Merrill Lynch Fund Managers in 2002, which is now known as DSP Investment Managers. Aditi is a trustee in the Hemendra Kothari Foundation, as well as the Wildlife Conservation Trust. She is passionate about viewing and saving wildlife. Apart from being an independent director at Godrej Agrovet, she also serves on the board of Dasra, a leading strategic philanthropy foundation in India. Aditi holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in economics from the Wharton School and an MBA from Harvard Business School. So without further ado, please welcome Aditi. Hey Aditi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Thanks a lot for doing this. I want to start with your life journey first, right? So you did your bachelor's from UPenn and then you did your MBA from Harvard and you joined investment banking job at Merrill Lynch before, of course, moving back to India. Why don't you tell us more about your life journey?
Yeah, so I did do that. I graduated way back in the late 90s. I worked for 2 years in investment banking, which was a great experience because it gives you good grounding. I told people it's like medicine you have to take for 2 years, and then later on, life just becomes easier. And frankly, every job felt easy after that. After that, I joined the fixed income team at Merrill with you, Rajkumar, if you remember.
Yes,
Learned a lot when interest rates, I saw them in front of my eyes coming down from 11% to 5%. And, it was like a happening time in the market. So I learned a lot from all of you all. We were also trying to educate corporates at that point about what are liquid funds, because, if their money was lying just in FDs, etc., where they were paying higher tax, we were trying to really educate them. And after that, I moved over into the mutual fund side after having a bit of a taste of fixed income and markets and instruments on your side. So that's really my journey into the mutual fund area. I got into mutual funds in DSP Mutual Fund in 2002.
Okay. No, I still remember, I have some very fond memories of you joining our desk, and we had to make the desk used to be because there were only men in the desk, and we used to be a lot more careful with our words. And Jayesh gave us a big warning when you were coming that Aditi is coming, so watch out what you're speaking. But anyway, that happened only for a couple of days, and we were on our own. So but we had some good fun. Yeah. So. But what made you come to the fixed income desk, from straight away from investment banking to the fixed income desk? Was it part of the plan, or you just wanted to have a flavor of the fixed income side?
Actually, Pradeep Dokania, who used to head it, he suggested that I, go there, and some other colleague I was working with, I was actually working with something called Merrill Lynch Direct, which had a joint venture with HSBC. And they were sort of doing what ICICI Direct did in those days. So we were going to launch it in India, and then the .com sort of bust happened, and the enthusiasm just sort of fell for the entire joint venture. So then no longer was that happening. I wish we had done it on our own anyway, but it didn't happen. I moved over to the fixed income side because, I had a chat with Pradeep and he said, why not? And I was always enthusiastic about fixed income. Even in school, I would take fixed income classes. And my very first job was in fixed income capital markets in New York in 96.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. So you mentioned you in 2002 you moved over to the mutual fund business and then went on to do many things, but especially run the sales and marketing. Can you take us through your trajectory in mutual fund side?
So that was very interesting. When I came, I didn't really have a marked role for myself. It was almost like a startup. And frankly, if you come back, when I was in DSP, people from the mutual fund industry used to come and meet me all the time. So I had a flavor of what sales, etc. is. In fact, I met Kalpen back then. He was tagged to me and to all of us to talk about his products. So it's actually very fortuitous later on in life now where we are, where he's our CEO. And when I came on to this side, there was no, as I said, it was a very nebulous role. I had to little bit with that time the website. I would just listen to what is going on, and then I realized that no one is really talking about India internationally, and I felt that people really should be talking about India. When you're 26 and you're naive, 26, 27, you are not carrying any baggage, you have no fears, you don't know what the past has been. We used to have one fund that we had launched in 97, then you had all instability in the government and you had the Pokhran testing and all that, and then people FIs didn't come, and the 2002-3 years FIs were not a big deal, and yet as a child, as a young person, you don't really realize all this. So we said, come on, let's launch an international fund. Everyone laughed at me. I was given a lot of caveats, like what I had to work within.
Yeah.
And so I didn't mind. And I said, why India is so great? 2002, the market was up. If you remember, I don't know if you remember, it was up barely 3%.
Yeah.
Where the international markets were down.
Yeah.
2002, 2003, when I started all the crying in the beginning, the markets were up 103%. And active funds still had a big role. Our funds were up 130%. I'm like, how can people not look at India? And, it's obvious to me, etc., etc., etc. So I started talking to the Merrill guys. We said, okay, fine, we launch an India fund. I had to convince, really talk to SEBI. No one had really done any of this before, and no one was talking about it. We launched the India fund. No one thought that we would be able to raise any money. We raised, I think when we started, we raised 90 million, and it was a big deal. Like, no one thought we'd get anything. They thought maybe 50, 60 million max. I went then to business school. It's a great essay, by the way, for business school. I went to business school in here. Yeah. I was in Boston, and I was like checking, with all my colleagues. Nagu was there that time. We were checking, great guy, very macro, and asking questions. He's like, Aditi, the fund is now 1.2 billion.
Wow.
So in 1 year, we grew just to 1.2 billion. I understood the landscape and everything. And then we had a Japan fund on the back of that. They came to us saying they want to launch. So we launched another Japan fund. So, it was just amazing what a difference we could make.
Wow. So you're saying in 1 year, the India Offshore Fund went up from about 90 million at the first fundraise to about a $1.2 billion. That's huge.
From Jan to December.
Wow.
With another fund of another billion.
Wow. That's so, So this whole offshore fundraise and that started very early in your career. How did you use that, the success in that into any other fund launch or anything you want to talk about, any other big event similar?
Well, I went to do my MBA for 2 years, right? So when I came back, all the jobs someone had taken my job. So when I came back, I was back to square one, figuring things out. And I, obviously dabbled into ETFs, and I met really good people in iShares and whether we should be doing that in India, but it felt too early back then, back in 2008. But then in 2011, our marketing had left and they gave me the position. I really wanted it. We needed a transaction platform that had to be digital completely, and it couldn't just be an appendage. It couldn't just be a side. Like operations used to handle it just on the side as a small thing where if you wanted to buy more, you could come in, but you had to be a DSP investor already, etc. I wanted to make everything digital. I had a really good friend in the VC industry, and he said, Aditi, if you are going to do this, please do this as a real business. Don't do it as, just something on the side. It's not a part of marketing. It's a separate business. It's not part of sales. It's a separate business. And so I was lucky enough to find Santosh Navlani. He came my way actually, and we talked, we gelled, and he came on board and he put together this lovely platform that we call IFA Express for the IFAs, for the mutual fund distributors. And we put something together for the end, audience as well. Internally, we call it InvestX. And we put these two platforms together, and still today we get lots of compliments on the platforms, and we're just constantly looking to upgrade them. So we committed to digital early, and we are we are still today fully committed to digital, making sure that our technology is good, right? Because people don't come to platforms, to financial platforms to be delighted necessarily. First, they come to do their work. We have to make sure that they do their work frictionlessly. Okay, and then the second thing, of course, we will engage them and give them some more delight beyond that. But technology at the back is the most important thing for me. Of course, then UX UI comes next, and product features after that. So, we started thinking tech from long ago, but I was lucky because I had a good team. And I was also very clear that I wanted everything to be in-house. And so we had two coders first, coded, they programmed the entire, what we see today, the website as we see it today and the app that we see today, rather the website, I would say, because that came out first. But I'm just thinking it was just really something different. Today, of course, we have a, huge in-house team, and that's different.
No, thanks. So since we are on this topic, I wanted to bring up, their new age platform like Small Case, and I know that you guys have investment in that, and they've seen a lot of traction, right? Because people are probably trying to do more direct equities. So do you see a platform like Small Case as a competitor, or you think platform like Small Case actually increases the whole market?
I think both. Firstly, the reason we invested in Small Case is because the entrepreneur is just fantastic. I haven't seen anyone like Vasant in a while. And he and Anugrah are just, an unbeatable team, I would say, in many ways. Young, enthusiastic, didn't have the baggage, Small Case was going after the investor who invested directly in stocks, but trying to make it like a semi-mutual fund product. I realized early that this could be one more product that that would suit the same investor that we're going after. Possibly we could even have different investors. And today we're seeing that demat accounts today are 7.4 crores. And the last I saw of mutual funds, PAN numbers in mutual funds, so individual investment mutual funds, are 2.8 crores.
Yeah.
So my point is that, of course, we've had a big bull run, so you're going to have more people and younger people coming into this. But I don't know in the long run which one will win. I just think Small Case is just a fantastic idea. And more than anything, the entrepreneurs are some people that we trust, we believe in, and we like to back, which we did.
No, they've done very well. And you mentioned about DSP mutual fund investing in tech, at very early stage itself, and you're building the whole thing now. What's your big vision going forward especially on the tech side? I'm just purely talking about the tech part here right now. What's your big vision on that in terms of how do you see next 5 years? panning out on that?
Okay. How do I see tech? I have so many different ways, but a big one would be you've got to be personalized in the way you give advice. I think today everything's very generic. Everyone gets an email being told to buy the same fund. That fund may not be right for that person. I think eventually it's not easy, but we have to get way, way more targeted in many ways. I do think a community of like-minded people, which you're trying to put together, is the next way to go. Because I don't believe always that mutual funds are, they're not really sold. I think it is really talking to friends and family. Even with an advisor, the advisor is not something they search for, but it's something a friend and family has told them. So word of mouth is actually much larger than we think in this. Advertisements are a catalyst as well, of course, but it's really word of mouth, which sort of does the final, I would say, final socializing of the product. And I do feel that this channel will be alongside traditional channels, because I do feel that still people need to be handheld. Not everyone can do a DIY. Below 35, we've noticed there's much more DIY, but when they also get a lot more money, they may want an advisor. So I think really phygital, as they call it today, is going to be the future. And everyone will have an element of digital. I don't think a distributor can be 100% physical in any way today. And I don't think a mutual fund can be 100% digital in the sense only have a digital sales channel.
Yeah.
There are people trying to do that, but I don't know if maybe 20 years later it could work. But right now I feel you need a digital.
No, I agree, completely agree with you. I think, and we've been also seeing when we talk to our customers, while I think the execution experience, they wanted more digital, but they always want somebody to lean up to and, lean into and ask some advice and whatever. So which is, of course, has to be more physical. But the physical right now, you don't need to meet in person, right? You can always do it on like what we're doing on Zoom calls.
Absolutely. I just want to say one thing here. Even our, right now, I don't know what the future will be, but the way we're going is that we are not going to have mandated people coming into the office. We don't mind people working from wherever they are and actually delivering the output they need to. So I'll tell you one thing. Someone said a very powerful statement to me that Amazon was a physical business. They made it digital. We are a digital business. We're making it physical.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything is somewhere in the middle, I agree, but we have to keep pushing. Firstly, now 90% of all my trades and transactions are paperless, but I still have 10% paper. Why?
Yeah.
Let's start with the basics. So we have to digitize as much as possible.
That's true. Coming back to your, sales and marketing hat, and when you talk to customers and you guys, I'm sure, do some surveys and you guys see what's trending in the market, what are the products you guys are most excited about and where you see more customer demand?
I mean, you're still seeing it in the traditional products of, large cap and flexi cap, where we're seeing both the pull as well as, I would say, advisors are also advising their product. But even when I look at platforms and see what the number one selling, it's still a regular active flexi cap fund. In some platforms, we see index as being the second highest.
Okay.
In some platforms, we don't see index at all. We're seeing much more active. So I can't tell you definitively where we are. We do feel that quant products and rule-based products will be the future. Not maybe now, but it is our duty to educate people, which is what we're doing.
Okay.
On the fixed income side, of course, still liquid funds, overnight funds, sort of more the short dated funds is what we're seeing right now. Um, we're seeing more enthusiasm there. And right now, actually, sorry, I forgot. A lot of hybrid funds are selling. A balanced advantage category, or the dynamic asset allocation category, as it's actually called. We're getting a lot of interest and flow. But amongst that, people don't realize they're measuring all the same and they're seeing who's giving the best returns. What they're not realizing is that every single one has a different model. So there can be one of those that is more geared to the conservative investor and one dynamic asset allocation, which is much more for the risk taker. The DSP one, for example, is geared a little more to the conservative investor. So people have to see who they are, what they can stomach, and then choose the fund.
Yeah, true. Now let's come to the overall mutual fund. You're on the board of DSP Investment Managers, and what are the big trends you're seeing in overall mutual fund industry, right? I mean, A1, it could be, of course, more digitalization, but what are the other trends you're seeing going forward, overall mutual fund sector?
Definitely, we're seeing passives and index funds performance-wise doing very well. It may not have gained as much traction, but it will. Rules-based funds doing very well. We don't have enough still to tell you, but I'm telling you from what I'm seeing.
Okay.
And especially in a bull market, we have to see whether in a sideways market or a bear market, what will outperform. That has still not happened. And I can tell you a trend of today, but doesn't mean that's the trend of, people are fickle. We don't know if that will be the trend 10 years from now. I am seeing a lot more enthusiasm in IPOs and enthusiasm in, the tech funds in general. In fact, we're launching a global innovation fund very soon. We're seeing more, not as much as but much more than before, interest in international markets. People have realized that they need to diversify. They can't put everything in India. You can't, the world, if you look at a world index, 50 to 60% is in the US, whereas in India, everyone puts all their money in India. So people have realized that they need to diversify a bit. So we're seeing some more enthusiasm on that side. There are also a lot of stocks and sectors which are not available in India. We don't have as large a tech sector.
Yep.
We don't have a renewable sector. And we're seeing interest in those. Healthcare is also limited in India.
Okay. Just want to change the track and want to talk about women in the financial markets, right? So while there are a few women who are CEOs of the bank, including our own Kaku Nakate, there are very few in the leadership positions in mutual fund space, like yourself and Radhika, and there are a few more people. Can you talk more about what you're seeing in terms of women in financial market, and more importantly, what can be done to get them more participate or be part of the whole financial market?
Yeah, that's a good question. Firstly, there are a few things here. I asked women when they come for interviews, is this a job for you or is this a career? And women need to make that decision, because many times for them it's a job and they don't even realize it. At the same time, I don't want to be judgmental of women who then decide that they want, after they get married and they have a child, that this is what they want to do in the long run, which is fine. But then I can't promote more women in the sense because they drop off into the higher ranks then. And I'd like to. And how we can support so that a woman can have a work-life balance is very important. So that she can rise to the top and that we support her when she has children. So for example, this whole work from anywhere right now, and which I want to continue, especially for women, it's very important.
Yeah.
I mean, people are doing it now, and my productivity nor my enthusiasm has really, come down in my group. So I don't see why it cannot be done in the longer run. So that's one. Two is I feel that as mothers, you need to start talking to your daughters and your sons very early. What you say to your child from the age of 0 to the age of 7 is extremely important because it gets somewhere coded into their subconscious brain that we don't even realize. So one is by example. If they see their mother working, or if their mother tells them, I'm not working, but I'd like you to work. And I felt like my mother did a lot of that. From a very young age, you need to earn your own money. You need to be independent. You need to work. And tell your son that you need to encourage your wife to do that. And it's a good thing when women work. And if you start saying that early to them, it just comes very naturally. Really telling them the importance of being financially independent from when they are very, very small, when they're young. So a mother also has a huge role to play. And let me tell you, even mother telling their son that it's not only the wife has to be in the kitchen, it's not only the wife that needs to cook, it's not only the wife that needs to clean, like you need to help in all the chores equally. And I think that can help support women, and especially women when they get jobs and they move on.
No, I think you hit the nerve on the problem itself. Helping understanding whether it is a job or a career. I think that itself can actually solve a lot of problem when people join the workforce. And then frankly, at young age, people may not be very sure of what they are. They may be very enthusiastic initially, but what are they up to? They really are not able to make that decision. I'll have a related question, and you talked about the financial independence, and with a big part of the financial independence is also financial literacy, right? So in India, men are usually seen managing family wealth. We have seen many cases, unfortunate cases during COVID when families have gone through tragedies, and wives are generally not even aware of the family financials. What as a we all belong to the financial market, and it's our responsibility to have this whole financial literacy really grow. What are your thoughts, and what can be done to help solve this?
So the first, women need to understand why they should be worried about investing, or why they should be interested in investing. And I always tell people there are few points that everyone should keep in mind. One is, more women are working today, so it's their own money. Why should someone else? So you are actually financially independent because you're working, but then you give the reins of that money to someone else. So then are you actually financially independent?
True.
After earning the money, you have to learn how to invest it. Otherwise, you've given up your money halfway. Second, more women are inheriting money. Today, it's not just going to the son, right? So in your lifetime, you probably inherit something, maybe large, maybe small, but it's your money again. Why should someone else take the reins of it? I'm not saying don't have a financial advisor, have one, but you choose the advisor and you decide with the advisor, not someone else. No one is saying keep your husband out of it. No one is saying keep your father out of it. Please include everyone. But the final decision should be yours and you should take responsibility. I was telling all my girlfriends the other day, have you seen Downton Abbey, for whoever's seen it or not?
I've seen. I love it.
So, like he lost the money of his wife that she had inherited from her father because he put it in the Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. True.
So men don't know any much more than women. That comes to my next point. Women think they're not, women are not confident. Some women are not interested. Where the interest is concerned, I'll push you. Where the confidence is concerned, I'll encourage you. Because women and men are equal. We all went to co-ed school together. Doesn't mean the person who came first in class was always a guy. So my point is, we're equal in that sense. And it doesn't mean that men know about investing more than women know. You learn about it. If you go to dspim.com/learn, you can go to our learn site. You can say, I'm a beginner investor, intermediate, or advanced. And beginner can be like a man who's an artist, whatever, just a man who's a novice in this, or it can be a woman who's a
Yeah.
beginner, wants to start, doesn't matter. So everyone's actually really raved about that site. Two, third reason I feel, unfortunately, divorce rates are increasing. So women get alimony and then they don't know what to do with it. And if they're not working, they need to be able to invest that money in a way that they will be taken care of without feeling vulnerable financially. So that's another reason. And sadly, I've had people in situations like this, and they're obviously learning about investing, but if they had earlier, then they would have been more confident and one less thing to worry about. And then statistically, women outlive men. So what happens is chances are that you will have, some inheritance, and you'll have to live on your own and you'll have to figure it out. So, of course, there'll be people to help you, but you should know how to manage your money. And second of all, life insurance has penetrated in India much more than mutual funds have. So chances are that you will, be the beneficiary of some life insurance. So again, you should know how to invest that. And as we talked about, women want to take some time from their careers to have children. And they're so used to earning money that during that hiatus, they should plan it so that they have some passive income and they can come back to the workforce. So these are reasons I feel women really need to learn how to invest and just take charge.
No, I completely agree with you on that. I guess we all have a lot of work to do. I mean, you guys are doing some great work, and probably I think everybody need to do a lot of work on that. You mentioned about the retail, demat accounts, which you mentioned about 7.5 crore demat accounts, and mutual fund, probably unique accounts are about 2.5 crores or 2 point whatever, odd crores. And this whole, big trend in the retail investing directly in stocks. What is this? Are you seeing a similar trend in mutual fund, or do you think mutual fund is a little lagging because of the bull market and you catch up later on?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen this enthusiasm in 99. We've seen this enthusiasm in 2007. Eventually, people realize that they need a more diversified portfolio. The only difference this time is that there are ETFs and there are index funds, which are passive. So I'm talking about the passives. So after this bull run, who knows when it'll end? Maybe it'll go on for a few more years. If there is ever any break or a sideways movement, we will see whether it is really active or index that gets more of the money. But now people have a choice. But I think people will eventually learn that they need to diversify. One thing this market is going to teach people in 2 years is the need to diversify amongst different stocks and amongst different asset classes.
I agree with you. Talking about diversification, are you guys looking at any, I mean, typically people have been investing in equities and fixed income, right? I mean, either bank deposits, fixed income equities in any form, either mutual fund or direct. Are you seeing a trend in alternate assets growing up, or are you guys looking to do something in that space?
So, when people talk alternate assets, it's so broad.
Yeah.
And everyone clubs it into one.
Yeah.
Like real estate is an alternate asset, art is an alternate asset, Bitcoin is an alternate asset, long short funds are an alternate asset, long only hedge funds are an alternate asset, long only PMS is an alternate asset. So within that, we're in the alternate investment fund of long short. That is our only real alternate fund that we have. We haven't thought of anything beyond that, little bit, so if anything comes up, we can chat more about it then. PVC is an alternate asset.
Crypto, you mentioned about Bitcoin. So you have any thoughts on that? I mean, there is a lot of
No.
craze around crypto. No?
No.
I mean, okay. No. We can move on.
Yeah.
Now, we see that you are involved in a lot of social activities, right? I mean, you are a member of the advisory board of DASRA, India's leading strategic philanthropy foundation, and also, of course, a trustee in the, Aditi Kothari's foundation and Wildlife Conservation Trust. You want to talk more about what the future plans like for yourself in this social activities?
Yes. I'm very enthusiastic about and very supportive of organizations like Dasra and the organizations that they support, because I do feel that NGOs need to get more professional. They need people to guide them to scale, because economies of scale will help their costs also go down. But we have to help them to scale so that your 100 rupees is feeding 5 people, not 2 people.
Yeah.
If I come to you saying, give me money, I will direct you to the NGO that is, your money is going to go the furthest in. And the NGOs who can't do it, who are not efficient, who have not scaled, there is Dasra to help them do that. So we work with both the philanthropists and the NGOs. And I think that's very unique to Dasra, because most people work with one or the other. And I'm very excited about my role at Dasra. I've been on the board for over 10 years. I've seen it grow. Where Wildlife Conservation Trust is concerned, that is something that we built. It's an organization that we nurtured. We are now working in 160 different sanctuaries. I'm a trustee on there, and I'm extremely proud of what we've done. We work with the government many times, and we also talk to the government on how to reforest degraded forests and why they should reforest degraded forests, mainly with collecting data to show them that there is a lot of wildlife activity, especially tiger activity in certain areas. And if it's not protected, the tiger is not protected also. If that forest is not protected, the tiger is not protected, and there'll be man-animal conflict. So it's better that we notify and designate those areas so that the tiger can travel from one forest to another forest, from one dense forest to another dense forest, without any danger along the way, which could include roads, it could include people, and it is our duty to do that. So in saving the tiger, we're saving the forest. In saving the forest, we're helping a little bit of climate change, doing our tiny little bit that we can.
And those tiny little bit matters a lot, because those things add up, right? Yeah, we are coming towards the last part of our conversation, and this is one question we ask everyone. What will be one advice you will give to your 20-year yourself?
For me, my 20-year-old self, I'll tell them, invest early with your first salary. And even though I did that, I didn't invest all my salary. Like the bonus I got in Merrill, it sat in cash for way too long. I should have done it immediately and really started studying investments. I actually studied a lot of macro econ in my 20s, which is great, because I was in fixed income and I was, very starry-eyed with all of that, which is great. But alongside, one thing I would tell myself is read more, read everything, but read. Okay, so read about bottom up stock picking, read about valuations, read about asset allocation, just read. In addition to macroeconomics reading, and of course, I read actually a lot on spirituality. I read way ahead, I would say. I read a lot on psychology in general. And macroeconomics. But now I'm telling myself I should have done 2-3 more genres of reading. So I'll tell myself.
Any of your favorite books you want to mention?
Right now I'm reading this book and I love it.
Okay. Wow.
And really getting deeper into the understanding of climate change, why it's such an important topic. We all know it, but really how bad it is, and that there is a glimmer of hope, and the new technologies coming up, and where you should be putting your money next as that. As someone said, actually Larry Fink said, the next 50 unicorns will be from something sustainable energy or something else sustainable that helps the planet. We don't need another food delivery app.
Okay. No, yeah, it's very fascinating, the whole subject. I've not read Bill Gates' book, but I plan to pick that up as my next reading. So thanks a lot for pointing that out. Now, this is the last question. What makes you feel empowered?
What I would say, more than what makes me feel empowered, what motivates me every day. Um, I'll tell you what, when I get emails and Twitter messages from people that say, I mean, on our DSP platform that say, I'm so happy that I invested in your small cap fund 10 years ago. My child is now going to the college of his choice.
Wow.
I had one day, I had someone just pre-COVID ringing my doorbell, and my staff member comes and tells me, ये है ना एक वो वॉचमैन आया है सर उनको क्या चाहिए उनको आपके पैसे कंपनी में पैसे लगाना वो आपके कंपनी में पैसा लगाना चाहता है so I said what where is he heard क्या उसने सुना अरे उसके फ्रेंड जो वॉचमैन दूसरे बिल्डिंग में थे ना उन्होंने लगाया आपके कंपनी में और अभी उनकी बेटी की शादी हो गई
Wow.
and he was able to give this daughter the wedding she wanted and then at the end of that, I had my doorbell ringing constantly because every watchman has told the other watchman. By the end of it, my staff member has learned how to, download the app and talk to them about it. So, of course, we had them talk to someone who's done an NISM exam and all from the office, and we talked to all of them and got them to invest. But my point is, it just makes me feel good when I hear these sort of stories that we could, that we change the lives of people.
No, I think that's really great, and actually on that a very proud and positive moment. Thank you so much, Aditi. Thanks a lot for doing this. Really appreciate. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Rajkumar. Thank you.